Roman is the biggest bad guy character in professional wrestling.
When's the last time you got laid?
French toast is the exchange student that you have like a 3-week affair with.
Hey, we can see that you don't have pants on.
Can we tell the truth about Dusty sooner or later?
Bro, less people wanted that than are currently watching our streams.
And you know Vince, and you still think, are these true? It's like...
Welcome to the Mark It Down podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mark It Down podcast, where I'm James Gisanti, and even though it's Wednesday, I'm all alone. We are here to cover AEW Dynamite, coming hot off the heels of AEW and New Japan presenting Forbidden Door. We're sorry we didn't do a review of the show. We were there. Well, some of us were. So we didn't really have time to come home and review it. We loved the show. There was some excellent wrestling there. But thankfully, I've been saying this the last several weeks, as good as I know Forbidden Door shows always are, sometimes I just want to focus on AEW TV. And man, did we hit the ground running on this post-Forbidden Door Dynamite as AEW delivered on all cylinders. Hello, Chris. Before Dynamite, Sky Blue won on Ring of Honor and put her record in Chicago to 10-0. Chris, I know you've been very big on Sky Blue, so thank you for that. And thank you for the Ring of Honor spoilers. You guys know the deal. Because I am by myself, I'm doing the social media stuff all by myself as well. So if I'm never looking at you, know that I'm with you in spirit. I'm just also dealing with everybody everywhere. So I thank you for your patience. But I mean it, guys. I really thought tonight's episode of Dynamite was just firing on all cylinders, was just hitting every note and delivered in so many ways. I think there was a good mix of wrestling. There was a great mix of storytelling. And we are really starting on this road to All In, guns a-blazing. Chris saying AEW Dynamite was a 10 out of 10. Chris, I'm obliged to agree with you. I'm inclined to think you're right. I have no negative things to say about tonight's Dynamite. From the start of the show to the main event, I think it was just a near perfect episode of Dynamite. To start, we did have a backstage interview as Dynamite started with Renee Paquette interviewing Daniel Garcia backstage ahead of his main event, where he is challenging Will Ospreay for the AEW International Championship. Garcia speaks about the promise he made, that he needs to win this match, that he's no stranger to pressure, and that he swears on his mother's life he's going to win the championship tonight. Coming in to give him a pep talk is MJF himself, Maxwell Jacob Friedman. Danny wants to open up talking about last week's challenge that MJF laid towards him, which was a one-on-one match at All In, which got interrupted by the challenge by Will Ospreay for tonight's match. MJF says not to focus on that, and instead to focus on his main event matchup tonight. But he has one request. He wants to be in Garcia's corner. Danny obliges, he happily accepts, and he walks off. A somewhat skeptical Matt Maynard says to him that he doesn't really, he hasn't had the highest opinion of MJF. But these last few weeks, the way he's treated Danny, it's enough, and he's good by him. They shake hands, and we go to our first match of the night. The Owen Hart Cup continues as the semifinals are rolling in. Hello, the Learning Y2J. First of all, great name. Very topical. Absolutely great. Loved it. And I know I sound like Chris Jericho right now praising you, but I actually do kind of mean it. And not kind of. I think it's kind of awesome. But I agree with you. Absolutely amazing Dynamite. But we head to our first match of the night. Bryan Danielson versus Pac in the semifinals of the Owen Hart Cup. Guys, I have been waiting for this matchup for a very long time. Hold on. We have Jack Scapegoat or Scape TNT Goat Perry joining us with, I guess I'm not acknowledging anyone, but sure. welcome, Scapegoat. I've been waiting for this one-on-one matchup for a very, very long time. I am, as you guys know, the biggest Bryan Danielson fan. It's not a competition. I just love him. And I have a huge respect for Pac. And I think that it's bonkers to me that these two haven't linked up more, considering all the time they've spent in the same company at one point or another. No matter what the initials, these guys have been around each other before. So this is a matchup I've been really, really waiting for on a high level. And I think they delivered tonight, guys, but that's just me. Let's see. We have Jack in the comments saying, I think someone here in the chat told us about that wild card stuff, and that was going to be Hangman. Swerve, someone's coming for you. I don't know if I'm Nostradamus. I don't know if I'm a fortune teller. I don't know what you'd call me, but I would say that, yeah, we're all kind of hoping for it, and thankfully we got it. But we'll get to that a little bit later. And let's see. I don't know if I have my money on Hangman. Just saying. Chris LeClaire saying they're a big fan of Sky Blue, and yeah, who is it? But back to the matchup at hand. Guys, like I said, I have been waiting for this for a very long time, and I think it delivered in multiple ways. I think we got excellent back and forth action where both men looked incredible. These are two guys who are on the top of their game. And commentary explained, Bryan wrestled on Sunday at Forbidden Door in his first matchup in the Owen Cup, taking on Shingo Takagi and winning. It was a very, very physical match with the New Japan star. Pac hasn't wrestled in close to 2 weeks, so he is much, much fresher of the two men. Bryan taped up, covered in K-tape around his neck, around his back, and despite being the more tired man, he definitely kept up with Pac, in my opinion. Match started, both men circling, collar and elbow, side headlock, reverse stalemate between these two guys. These two men just absolutely being each other's equals at the start. Bryan looks for an armbar, but Pac was able to reverse it into a wrist lock and then ringing them around. And again, we're at a tie. Another break between these two guys. We got another collar and elbow. Pac gets him to the corner, hits him with a huge chop, gets him on the ropes, and both men go for a crossbody, and both men are down and out. Right from the get-go, these two were delivering as soon as that bell hit. Sorry, guys, you know the drill. I am, of course, dealing with social media. We do have a producer boy somewhere. I don't know where, but tonight it is just me, so please bear with me. But both men going forearm for forearm. Bryan gets dropped to a knee, and Paul Turner tries to check on him, but the bastard Pac keeps on him and then sends him to the floor. He hits him with a moonsault from to the outside, and then back inside, he locks Bryan into a brutalizer very early on. I was kind of astonished that he was able to lock this so early, but it goes to show how weak and tired Bryan was coming into this matchup. Bryan was able to get to the ropes and force as we go to a commercial. And as we are going to a commercial, I am going to deal with social media once more. Sorry, guys. And then as we come back from the commercial, both men are slugging it out, forearm to forearm. And then finally, we get a shoulder arm breaker from Bryan. Pac goes for the German. Bryan is able to land on his feet and hit a roundhouse kick, both men going down. The action goes to the floor, and Pac wipes him out with a thrust kick and climbs to the barricade for an elbow drop. Let's see. I got Matt in the comments. I'm looking forward to seeing you, bud. No rush. Be safe. Be careful. Back on the inside, we have a springboard elbow drop connecting, and Danielson is checking on his neck. Pac scoops him up and hits a tombstone pile driver that isn't enough to pin Bryan Danielson, only getting a 2 count. Bryan will just not stay down even after a repeated pin attempt from Pac. Both men, Pac gets him in the corner, striking him. They're trading blows, and Bryan is up top, but Pac crotches him, and Bryan goes private area right to the corner. They're going for position, and Pac hits a gigantic superplex. They called it a brain buster. It did kind of look like a brain buster, but I thought Bryan landed on his back, so I'm going to call it a suplex. But Bryan is still able to kick out at 2. Pac goes from the top rope, trying to hit that Black Arrow, but misses, and Bryan is able to hit him with the Busaiku knee as the crowd is yesing him on. I have to tell you guys, I love that the yes chants are back. I respect the fact that Bryan didn't want to hit them due to his love for WWE, but screw it. The crowd, it's a perfect moment seeing Bryan charge up with the Busaiku with the yeses. He can't quite go for the pin though because he is so exhausted, but Pac is, and he's able to hit the brutalizer. Bryan counters it into an attempt at the label lock. They roll through. They're going back and forth, pinning until finally Bryan is able to reverse it and get the 1, the 2, and the 3. I know I spoke about this either last week or 2 weeks ago with Rev. I love these types of finishes because they don't happen all that often. Granted, I guess I did just say it did happen within the last week or two, but this felt very earned. These are 2 guys who just are at the top of their game. And quite frankly, I think this is how Pac won his first match in the tournament. So it was fun to see it play off of him and him being on the opposite end of it. It didn't quite work out for him this time, but great matchup between these 2 small stars. And by small, I mean in stature. But that said, they could still both kick my ass. So who am I to say? But Bryan Danielson winning and advancing in the Owen Hart Cup tournament as he is set to take on, I'm not entirely sure. If you guys can remember in the comments, please tell me, who is Bryan supposed to take on next? No, never mind. He won his bracket. So on the opposite side, we are going to see either the winner of Jay White versus the winner of Jeff Jarrett versus the wild card. So we will talk about that, but still lots of matchups in this tournament, which will culminate and will finish next week in Calgary. What did you guys think of the matchup? I absolutely loved it. It lived up to my internal hype, which says a lot. So tell me what you think in the comments. The Learning Y2J saying Moxley needs to be part of Team AEW. I mean, I agree. I think this is a guy who is essentially the heart of AEW. There are lots of guys who love and care about this company, but Moxley bleeds AEW. And no, that is not a joke about how often Jon Moxley bleeds on television, but his heart pumps for this company. So, yeah, I would not be upset with Moxley being part of Team AEW, Y2J. Chris Leclerc saying that he liked this matchup. Happy, man. I love to hear it. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Really love when these matches resonate with as many people as it does. We go back to a backstage interview now as Willow Nightingale is being interviewed by Renee Paquette. And I really dug this promo, guys. Willow starts off by saying, "Nothing matters, smile anyway." It's been her mantra, and it's the words she lives by as she has to look on the bright side of in the world of pain and suffering. Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway might mock her, but they don't understand that it's for the people who need it. For the little girl who wanted to be one of the best wrestlers in the world and who got knocked down, lost her TBS title, but is getting up again. She says she's going to kick Statlander's butt and make her way to All In to become the AEW Women's World Champion. Great promo by Willow Nightingale. I know AEW knows what they have with her. At least I have to believe they know what they've got with her. But my God, is she just such a star, in my opinion. She resonates with the fans. She delivers excellent matchups. And her promo skills have just skyrocketed lately, in my opinion. So love seeing this side of Willow, who is just a genuine, perfect babyface. I think she gets it. She gets it. And I know I'm not saying anything surprising to anybody. So if you guys like the promo, let me know. But we are going to move to another promo in the ring as Mark Briscoe comes out. And you know him. You know the Chicken Man knows what knows how to get a crowd riled up. He said he represents the baddest tag team there's ever been. The Briscoe brothers, them boys. They call him Chicken, but he ain't scared of shit. I hope I'm after. Yep, I'm after the 10-minute mark, guys. I can curse. I won't do it too much for you. He said he ain't scared of shit, and last week he came within inches of becoming the TNT champion, but Jack Perry must have had an extra bowl of Lucky Charms and shoved a horseshoe up his ass to win that ladder match. But that was last week, and he's worried about this week, and this week is Shark Week. Gotta love the cross-brand promotion. And when he thinks of sharks, he thinks of blood, and when he thinks of blood, he thinks of guts. So he wants to declare himself as part of Team AEW for Blood and Guts, which will be later this month in Nashville. Yes, Nashville. As Mark is hyping himself up and getting ready and getting the crowd behind him, Jack Perry slid in the ring, hits him with the TNT Championship, and stands tall above him. As he is gloating over the downed Ring of Honor World Champion, Kyle O'Reilly came in, beats Jack into the corner before getting dropped himself by Kazuchika Okada. The Young Bucks then come onto the stage, make their way down to the ring, and then hit the EVP trigger on Briscoe, standing tall, all four members of the team holding championship gold above their enemies. Guys, love them or hate them, they're killing it right now. I really do think that the Briscoe, the Elite stuff is super compelling. They are the perfect heels right now. And quite frankly, I think they're exactly what the company needs storyline-wise. They're a unified enemy for the rest of AEW to pounce on, and I think it's working. We got Jack Scapegoat Perry saying, and I think he's agreeing with me, and I appreciate it. I always love the affirmation. Creativeness, sub-creativeness. I think it's been a while since we've seen you in the comments. Welcome back. Creativeness saying, holy shit, Page return was okay, but I don't think he should have returned against Jeff Jarrett, LOL. Well, we will talk about that. I think this was a very interesting return because it bounces off of where we last saw him, but we will talk because there's a lot to dissect in that matchup and that return. Scapegoat saying, change the world, baby. That is the mission statement. That is what AEW is based off of, and I think they've done it so far. We then go to another interview. Lots of interviews in a row, but again, lots of storytelling coming out. We have a Tony Storm backstage interview where Renee Paquette has Tony, Mariah May, and of course, Luther. They talk about Mariah May, her matchup against Hikaru Shida this coming week, the end of this week on Friday on Rampage in the Owen Hart Cup. Mariah is hesitant, but Tony gives her a pep talk and reminds her she'll have her girls with her, meaning Tony at ringside and Mina Shirakawa via satellite. And then she tells Mariah to drop the catchphrase. And we hear Mariah say, chin up, tits out, and watch for the shoe. I am loving the dynamic of these ladies now and just this story. So just great work. Creativeness, thank you so much. Saying he's hoping I'm doing well, or they're saying, I apologize, that I'm doing well and doing great. I do appreciate it. As you guys know, it has been a rough couple weeks, but we're here. This community is what helps me move forward. As you know, we are the Mark It Down podcast because we are a bunch of marks. We just love wrestling, and of course, we love talking it out with you guys. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of, as corny as it's going to sound, the Mark It Down family, and for being just the most awesome community I think I've ever been a part of. So thank you guys, and we're going to keep it going. We have the Learning Y2J saying, being honest, AEW has been presenting a solid product week after week, pay-per-view after pay-per-view. This year, the hate towards AEW is just nuts and delusional. Learning Y2J, I am very inclined to agree with you. I think for some reason, and there are several reasons for this, unfortunately, the biggest thing going against AEW lately is its perception. There is this perception that the product has been cold or that the product has been faltering. I have to heavily disagree with those assessments. Unfortunately, AEW had a string of either, whether you want to call it bad luck or bad decision making, but I don't think the product ever truly suffered in any way. I think the talent has been absolutely delivering on every level, whether you're the world champion or the women's champion or the TNT champion or the TBS champion or the tag team champion, whatever you are, we are seeing some of the best wrestlers in the world performing at a, no pun intended, elite level. The biggest thing to getting AEW's fire going again isn't really the product that we're seeing every week as much as it is the perception about that product. I have been thoroughly entertained week in, week out, the way you said, whether it was pay-per-view by pay-per-view or Dynamite by Dynamite, or even Collision and Rampage. I have been loving AEW. So as long as I'm getting what I like out of it, I'm going to keep tuning in. I hope other people feel the same way. I hope there's something that this show is doing that is going to grab people's attention and bring people back in, because unfortunately, as we know, the ratings haven't been all that great lately. But we're not here to discuss ratings. We're here to discuss these stories, these matches, and what we love about the product. And objectively, sometimes things we don't like about the product. So if we've got something to love, we're going to talk about it. If we've got something we didn't love, we're going to talk about it. But I just hope AEW is able to capitalize on all this great storytelling and all this great wrestling they've been giving us for a very long time. We have Scapegoat saying people just hate because it's trendy and gets likes. I agree. I think it's way easier to get attention spouting hate. I think it's way easier to get attention by ripping things apart. That's not what I like to do. I've been a wrestling fan for a very long time, a lot longer than I would like to say, because I don't like feeling old. I'd rather discuss the things I love. I'd rather discuss the things that make me happy about wrestling than spend my time every week crapping on stuff. So if you guys like that, stick with us, because we love wrestling, no matter the brand, no matter the letters, no matter the company. So stick with us, and I promise you we're going to have a lot of fun talking about wrestling. Scapegoat saying next Collision with MJF opening ... It's going to be fire. Yes, it is, and I'm very eager to get into why soon, but we will move on. Learning Y2J saying Okada versus Omega is rumored to happen at Wrestle Dynasty in January. I have made the vow, you guys, I don't know if you've heard me say it before, if Okada and Omega happens on American soil, I will be there. Nothing will stop me from seeing an Okada Omega matchup live as long as it's within my means. I unfortunately could never travel to Japan for it. Ironically, I will be next year, but not for wrestling. But if Okada Omega happens, I will be seeing it. Mark it down. No pun intended. Maybe a little. But moving on, we're going to get back in the ring, finally, as we have our next Owen Hart Cup semifinal matchup, as Chris Statlander takes on Willow Nightingale in a highly anticipated matchup. Guys, this match had the fire, the burning fire of a just excellent feud. Something that, despite the outcome, I don't think we're necessarily seeing the end of. Give me 1 second, guys. Of course, I am dealing with social media. And I will say to everybody, no matter where you're watching, whether it's YouTube or Facebook or X or wherever, thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for tuning in. And we appreciate you no matter the platform. Sorry. And we're back. Guys, the match didn't even start. The match didn't even start before the action did. As Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway made their entrance first, Willow, of course, her music finally hits, and Statlander runs up the ramp, and Willow is ready and willing to bring the fight right back to her. Trading blows up top before Willow hits a massive pounce, sending Statlander flying and rolling down the ramp until she hits the ring. That was an epic move, something that you should put in any Willow Nightingale hype package moving forward. Just absolute epic action from these two. As they're at the apron, she hits a snap suplex, and the match finally begins in the ring. Willow gets a near fall, right hands. Chris gets a thumb to the eye to bring us to a stalemate as we go to commercial. As we get back from commercial, Willow hits a super kick, and Stat is on the apron. She cuts her off, and they're trading chops on the apron. Willow knocks her to the floor and then dives, hitting a massive, massive cannonball. Back inside, there is a missile dropkick hit, a charging lariat, and a cover, but nope, only a 2 count. Chris gets a near fall off of an axe kick, and then hitting a deadlift German suplex, which just wowza. I know everybody loves Willow, and we should all love Willow. We should all be praising Willow for how great she is. But let's not forget, just because Stat is the heel in this doesn't mean we should love her any less. She is still the epic talent that she was before this turn, if not better, in my opinion, because she seems to be more comfortable in the ring. I don't necessarily know how I feel about the character work quite yet, but when you have Stokely Hathaway in your corner as a heel, magic is going to happen. I love that combo. Stat is finding her footing as a heel, but in the ring, she has not lost a step. Let's see. I'm going to go to the comments real quick. Learning Y2J saying, what a match. Creativeness saying, thank God Willow won. Screw Chris and kayfabe. No, yep, I'm with you there, pal. Scapegoat saying, Statlander going to cost Willow the finals. Build up to their match at All In. Mark it down. Yeah, that's our line, but I'm glad you're using it. We'll see. We shall see. I don't necessarily agree with you. Uh-oh. Seems like I'm not alone anymore, guys, but I'm just going to continue in the comments before he gets in. Learning Y2J saying, at this point, I don't even think we need Hater for this year's All In. We might not need her, but that doesn't mean I don't miss her. I really do. I really, really do. But, yeah, I don't think it's necessarily in the cards for a matchup, but let's see if she makes a return. That was a bad link. And final comment for now, Tony v. Mariah, Willow v. Statlander, Britt v. Mercedes, no need for Hater. Again, not that there's no need. You're right. There's probably not a need for her, but at the same time, I'm very, very glad she's here. 1 second. All right. Let's get back to the action. After that deadlift German suplex, Willow's hitting some back elbows and then hits an avalanche German suplex. Lining her up. Chris wants to go for the pile driver, but Willow is able to roll through. Both women trading pins. I guess we have been getting that a lot lately, but not always as a finish. Not always as a finish. We get a reverse to a discus lariat, and then a slip out of the fireman's carry. Statlander then gets her up for the F5, but Willow stays in it. Stokely puts a chain in the corner and tries to distract the referee, but Rick, and he does because it's Rick Knox, who sucks. And Chris loads her fists up. Willow ducks. Stokely almost gets knocked out. And then Willow takes advantage by going for a folding press and getting the 1, 2, and the 3, advancing in the Owen Hart Cup. Guys, I think this was a excellent way to have this match go, because the feud will continue, because the heel can never be happy. After the promo Willow cut, this was a perfect night for Willow Nightingale. Very happy for her. Very happy to see this continuing, and very excited for her to continue in the tournament. Scapegoat in the comments saying Hater could show up after a match. That's what I think is going to happen, but let's see. The only person I could really see her coming in after is probably Toni Storm. Probably, but I don't even know what that means for whatever the outcome of her matchup would be, but a lot of exciting possibilities in the women's side of wrestling in AEW, so very much looking forward to it. But yeah, excellent matchup between these two women. I don't think they held anything back, which makes me both very excited and very nervous for what's to come next for these women in their next inevitable matchup. But moving on, we had a backstage interview with Jeff Jarrett, who was getting ready for his match in the Owen Hart Cup later tonight. Jeff can't really get any words out. He can't speak, and he just walks away with his wife following him. This allows Jay Lethal to say that Jeff has never been more prepared for anything, and it's not just about wrestling. It's about honoring one of his best buddies, one of his best friends in this business, Owen Hart. And guys, I know there's been a lot of discourse about whether or not Jeff Jarrett should have been in this tournament or not. One, I think the matchup we got tonight justified him being in there, considering the outcome. It definitely helped serve a story. And 2, he was one of Owen Hart's best friends, legit. He was there the night Owen passed away, unfortunately, and he's gone on record several times about the impact of his passing and how the loss of his friend deeply, deeply affected him. I'm very happy that he was in this tournament. If you aren't, get over it. It's one matchup. So, yeah, very happy to see Double J in this tournament. Let's see. Let's go to the comments real quick. Scapegoat saying, to be fair, JJ looked good in that match. I think Jarrett has been killing it. He knows exactly the way he should be used. He's not taking anybody's spot. He's not going over people that he shouldn't be going over. And he loses most of the time. So I think he's been a great addition to AEW on the veteran side of things. If you're looking to get in, partner, I can get you in because I could hear you. Do you want me to mute you?
Oh, definitely get me in, please. I don't know how to do that. My bad. Hey, there we are.
I am no longer alone here on the pod. I am joined by my good buddy, my good friend, Matt Cascone. Matt, before we get into everything, how are you today?
I'm pretty good, James. Happy to be here. How are you?
I am good. I am hot. It is late, and it is. I don't like saying this word on air, but it is sticky. It is sticky with how hot it is. But before we get into everything, I briefly went over it. What did you think of AEW and New Japan's Forbidden Door pay-per-view?
I loved it. We had a great time. It was really great being there with you. My only complaint was the Mox match. I thought was bad, and he didn't bleed. So it was 2 thumbs down for me. But other than that, I thought it was great. Did we ever figure out why people started booing Monet? Like, was there something that happened, or?
I am at a loss for that, man. I legitimately think there was somebody in the crowd who might have had a Boston jersey on, and I think that led to people booing that person, turning into booing Mercedes, and then it just snowballed after that. And she leaned into it, and thankfully the story is playing with it for tonight.
Cool. And I like that gal that she was wrestling. I thought that was my first introduction to her, and I thought what a great introduction. Hope to see more of her. Hopefully AEW can continue to book her, even though she's with New Japan, and also she's with CMLL or
who are we talking about? Stephanie Vicar?
Yes, thank you.
She is with CMLL. She might also be with Stardom. I'm not entirely sure what her contract status is, but she walked into that pay-per-view with 3 championships. She walked out with 2, but that means she's still wrestling for 2 other companies at the very least.
Yeah. So she was the Eddie Kingston for a hot second there.
Yeah. She was
Eddie Kingston. But yeah, no, I think specifically her match where she was bouncing Monet's head against the canvas was usually that's the spot where you're just like, it should have been me, or I'll have what she's having. And I'm just like, oh.
That looked brutal. It looked absolutely brutal. But
Jeff Jarrett, my guilty pleasure. He's been my guilty pleasure for a while in pro wrestling. And I don't think anyone thought he was going to win, but it's nice to have him in the mix.
Yeah, I agree.
Wrong with having a seasoned vet like him who knows how to work and is also reliable, even if he's not at his peak in popularity, or maybe some would say his best days are behind him. He's still very good.
Yeah.
So why not put him in the mix?
Absolutely. But all right, are you ready to move on to the next part?
Sure. I'm so glad. I didn't realize my sound was on. I'm so glad I wasn't just saying stuff in the background.
No, you're good. I'm eagle-eyed and eagle-eared apparently. I don't know if they have ears or good ears, but I was ready for you. But we're gonna get in the ring now for an in-ring promo and an in-ring celebration. We'll talk about both because they sort of intersected. But we had the long-awaited return of Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, last Sunday at Forbidden Door. We have all been missing Britt Baker. We have all been missing our favorite dentist. Granted, as much as I love her, she couldn't convince me to sit in a chair if I don't have to be. but for her, I at least would think about it. Britt comes out, and of course, she is greeted by her bestie that we all know, we all love, Tony Schiavone. Tony happily hands her the microphone, walks out of the ring, and lets her have her moment. I love that, by the way. I love the little play on that, because usually whoever comes in just yanks the mic out of Tony's hands. In this instance, he was happy to give it to his friend. I thought that was a great little touch and a nice play on a usual trope in AEW.
I always love in wrestling when your alignments don't always have to just be like face and face, heel and heel. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, oh, for whatever reason, like maybe I'm a face commentator, but I like this one heel and we have like a good relationship. Like, it's always nice to just have like that one little thing that makes things less black and white.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So as Britt grabs the mic, she says she's missed us all, and she thought way too long and way too hard about what she would say when she came back, and she came to the conclusion that she should just talk to us. She wants to talk about 3 things we all have: a past, a present, and a future. She says the past is a lesson, the present is a gift, and the future is motivation. She starts talking about her past, that she's been gone for the last 10 months, and she knows we've all been wondering where she was. The answer was always, she's injured, but we should know her better than that just being injured, some simple injury, would not be enough to keep her away from us for this long. And she does admit that she did have a couple of herniated discs and a torn hip labrum that helped keep her away, but that really wasn't it. She talks about how in November she was banged up and running on empty, not just physically, but mentally. She looked in the mirror and she said she was good until one day she just wasn't. Because one day she started to feel really, really sick. She spoke about how she felt the room spinning, her vision getting blurry, and that her right arm was tingling and numb. She said she was good and that she tried to open a bottle of water, but she couldn't. At that point, she realized her entire right side stopped working. So she went to the hospital for a week, and they told her she had something called a TIA, a transient ischemic attack, which in layman's terms is a minor stroke.
Jesus.
Her brain wasn't getting enough blood, and it's a warning sign for what could be a major stroke later on, but thankfully that wasn't the case. She told Tony Khan she needed to stay home and get herself right, and he said that was more than okay, and to just let him know when she'd be good. Jumping to the present, she's here, she's clear, and she's healthy, which, thank God, it's more important than anything in wrestling, guys. We all know that. When she came back, she said she didn't know if anyone would give a damn, and that when she made her entrance before Forbidden Door, the fear of rejection was real. She knew it wasn't rational, but the vulnerability was showing up for her, even when she had no control over what would happen. And on Sunday, when she needed pro wrestling, we welcomed her back with open arms. And of course, we gave her those DMD chants. You and I were a part of that. She said for that, she will always be in our corner, because at the end of the day, she's one of us, and she means that from the bottom of her heart. She says,
one of us, one of us, one of us.
She now moves on to the future, and that means motivation. She says when you're going through a hard time, to be present and to go through it, because it'll be better on the other side, because we all possess the impulse to be elite. She hears we have a new female face of the company, and she runs Mercedes Moné down. Guys, she was not happy to be talking about Mercedes. She talks about how Mercedes may claim to be the CEO, and that she felt it was so important to be known as the CEO that she has those letters piped into her music when the crowd won't chant them for her.
Oh.
She says she didn't earn that, and then she said the only letters that matter in this company are D and D. That leads to a car horn honking loudly. You know what? I'm checking out the comments real quick. You know what? I'll get into it after I finish recapping the segment, because there are a lot of you comments. I want to get to all of them, but I just there's a lot to process with this. But before I get into it, I guess, Matt, what did you think of that promo? Do you think she killed it? Or at the very least, do you think my recap of it was a good? There you go. I'll take it. Thank you. Her victory is my victory in this sense. And just like history has proven, men come out of the woodwork to steal the credit and appeal of women everywhere. As that car horn honks, a vehicle rolls up on the Tron, and Mercedes Moné pops out with both of her titles now in hand, and she greets the Young Bucks outside. They tell her her championship celebration is ready, and we are ready for a great show. Crew members, while Britt Baker is still in the ring, are just decorating the ring with balloons, with pictures, with everything, the whole 9 yards. It is a ridiculous sight to see, and I loved it. Mercedes then made her way, making her entrance, dances like Baker isn't even standing there before making a show and realizing that, oh my God, the DMD is there, and asks if she was interrupting something. She tells Chicago it's time to celebrate with your double champion, and Britt says she gets it. She outshined her moment at Forbidden Door, so now she's trying to outshine her moment here. Mercedes scoffed at that, saying she's happy to talk about Forbidden Door, where she became a double champion. And she would have known Britt would come out and steal her spotlight, which gets her shut the fuck up chants from the crowd. The crowd did not hesitate to turn on Mercedes. We still don't understand what the hell happened at Forbidden Door, but granted, even before Forbidden Door, it's not like Mercedes was getting universal love. We've all been expecting this heel turn for a while. I just don't think any of us were expecting it to happen so rapidly and so kind of rapidly.
Well, in the middle of a match, and it wasn't like any specific spot, too. Like the crowd at Forbidden Door was generally favorable to Mercedes Moné. I think everyone appreciated what both women were bringing to the table in a very excellent match. We were on the camera, we're not camera side, right? We were not camera side. We're on the side with the cameras.
Yeah, we were not on TV.
So, like, in front of us was like it was definitely the friends and family, and like there was people that were there for Mercedes, and they were very vocal, and it was kind of funny. And then
very anti-New York.
Yes, well, it escalated quickly. It got kind of like a little, in my opinion, it was a little like uncalled for. But regardless, we weren't going to fight anybody. But it was just funny on the same side as us in the corner. There was one shrieking fan for Mercedes Moné, definitely not friends and family, just a fan. And then somehow in this match, at some point, maybe people just started to realize, hey, she doesn't even go here. And like started booing Mercedes Moné, started booing the Boston Celtics.
My heart says because that woman was shrieking for Mercedes, the crowd decided like we're against you, so we're going to be against her here.
I guess it was such. I've never experienced anything like it. Even, I don't know if you were there, but like back in the day, Ring of Honor, it was the Briscoes versus the All Night Express, and they did a double turn in their match.
Yeah.
Like that at least made sense. And in the moment it was amazing. And this was just kind of just like, what did I miss something? Like, did I just have a stroke? Like,
I think a lot of it had to do with how over Stephanie Vicar also got. I think that's something that we need to respect as well, because it wasn't just we're booing Mercedes. It was also we're cheering Stephanie, because there were loud Stephanie chants at Forbidden Door. But let's finish up with the segment first, real quick.
Yeah.
After the shut the fuck up chants, she wants to show everyone what a real star looks like, and that leads Britt to challenge Mercedes to a match at All In. Mercedes literally just hits Britt, not hits, but she pushes Britt's face away very aggressively by stretching her hand out. And she says there is a long line and Britt needs to get in the back of the line, bitch. Not my words, her words. We respect women here at the Market Down Podcast. Britt then...
women!
Not me. Britt then...
just call me Okada, bitch.
Britt then responds in kind, calling Mercedes a bitch, and asks, what line? Monet then tells her there's a price to pay, and then dances away from her, holding both championships up. showing the champion she is. So, guys, I thought this was an excellent face-off between these two top women in the company. Britt Baker, who has been long missing, long wanted back, and a Mercedes Moné, who has basically bulldozed her way to the near top of the division. I don't want to say she's the face of the division, but she is definitely bringing eyes to it with all the media appearances she's doing. I do want to get to the comments now, finally, guys. Thank you for waiting. First of all, I love this one from Scapegoat saying, Matt Wyatt to you.
Because my shirt?
I think it's the beard and the shirt.
Well, it's funny. Like, I did a video of me at Madison Square Garden doing the Becky Lynch, and someone was like, why did I think this was Bray Wyatt? And I'm like,
I mean, maybe it's something to lean into. Maybe an Uncle Howdy cosplay is something to lean into. We'll see. We'll get into that. Danny, I miss you so much on so many levels, Danny. And I'll go as far as to say I do love you. Danny's saying he agrees with the comment section about the women's matches. I'm inclined to agree with the comment section and you. Scapegoat saying just another banger pay-per-view. The Moxley match, I didn't pay attention. Also, Zack Sabre was an awesome match. LIJ should have been main card, and the main event was perfect. I agree about the main event. I agree about LIJ. I agree about Zack Sabre. And yeah, the Moxley match was a dud. We are all under the impression that Naito got hurt midway through the match, but we shall see. Danny's saying people were ready to boo Mercedes no matter what. Don't blame the one loser.
But again, everyone was responding positively to the match. And for the majority, I would say like it was like 75-25% Mercedes cheering.
I think Danny is saying that people were wanting to boo Mercedes even prior to the match. That people have been wanting to boo Mercedes for a while. It's just they've been keeping her in the babyface role for some God-forsaken reason.
Yeah.
We're going to go back to the learning Y2J. The pay-per-view was a solid one. Also agree that LIJ should have been main card. The car is wild. AEW should have signed her ASAP. I agree. We are all hoping AEW can snap her up because she seems like she would be a perfect fit, and the crowd is clearly into her. And I do agree. Let me just say it now. I said it to Matt when we were there. LIJ absolutely should have been on the main card. Yota Tsuji is a top prospect for New Japan. I don't know why he was on the pre-show. That was just bizarre to me. And I don't know how you could have a star like Hiromu Takahashi and then not book him prominently either. Very weird decision, but I guess they're still focused on pushing their top guys and not their top rising guys yet. But I agree with everybody. Very weird decision. Danny's saying Mercedes is better as a heel anyway. I completely agree. I don't think she's ever, no matter the company she's in, been totally comfortable or feel all that natural as a babyface. So hopefully she really finds her footing as a heel here in AEW. Danny's saying the women's Owen has become a bit of a botch to him. I don't necessarily. I think it's way more predictable than the men's side. I think we very much know who's going to win the women's Owen Cup because of the implications for All In, which kind of makes it, I guess, a little less appealing. But I do think the matches have been great. Like, I thought this match tonight with Willow and Chris was just phenomenal. If you guys didn't have the opportunity to see it, go see it because it was just that good. Scapegoat saying Mercedes heel is the perfect move. She should act like Hollywood Rock, to be honest. Perfect angle with Britt. DMD is the actual face of the company. Hey, Britt talked about it. She is the first woman to sign with AEW. She was the first female talent to sign with the company, and there's a reason for that on multiple levels. So, and I do agree, Mercedes is the perfect heel, and I loved the interaction with the Elite. A bunch of us here on the pod have been saying that if there is going to be another member of the Elite, Mercedes feels like she is perfect in that role. So hopefully we get there. I know we've seen lots of heels be friendly with the Elite. I would love to see Mercedes be part of the Elite. Danny said Stat should have beat Willow for sure. Wow. Okay. I mean, I'm interested in hearing about that. We will talk about that in a second.
I mean, I was surprised to hear she beat Stat because I missed that in the first hour. But
yeah, well, we'll talk. Saraya should have fought May in a later round. I guess, but I do think it's I mean, I guess they wanted to put a bow on that mini feud that they've been having on TV.
Yeah, right.
So I guess having it early was probably a good move. And it sells. Like Mariah May beat a former AEW Women's World Champion to progress in this tournament. I think that's a big deal. So we'll see.
It just stinks. Saraya's like, stock. Maybe that's what Danny's like hung up on, which I totally get.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, it's a fair point. Danny's saying they blew a really good potential bracket. Interesting.
I'll look at it. I didn't even get to really look at it.
Scapegoat saying DMD Britt literally cooked Mercedes on the mic. Yeah, I mean, I think Mercedes is definitely feeling a little more natural as a heel, but this was Britt's promo. This was Britt's segment, and she killed it in every way. The Learning Y2J saying, I was pissed with the crowd. Britt talking real life shit and the crowd chanting, crowd yelling, you suck. That's just disrespectful. Learning Y2J, I will say, I heard that you suck. That wasn't for Britt. There was one person in the crowd who just kept yelling and just kept trying to interrupt the promo. The you suck was, I believe, directed towards that one person trying to indicate that they should shut the fuck up because they should. And then Learning Y2J saying, why would you chant CM Punk when Mercedes was entering? Stupid crowd, man. I'll give you that one. I'm glad New York shut down the CM Punk chant with the he was fired chant on Sunday at Forbidden Door. Scapegoat saying the crowd was kind of stupid. And Learning Y2J saying Matt is kind of Wyatt lookalike. Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, man, I think Bray was a good
I'm burning all these Hawaiian shirts right now. It's fine.
Y2J saying, I think Mercedes feels like Dwayne's WWE last return. Wanted to be a babyface, but the crowd wasn't eating that. I agree. I think it was pretty obvious outside of her actual debut. The crowd just wants to boo her. And I don't even think it's because we don't like her. It's just we know what she excels at. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Sometimes it's nice to get that warm welcome back, but then you gotta like transition like, oh, they've gone back to their dastardly ways. Like the warm welcomes are gone. The party's over.
The Learning Y2J. The outcome of Willow versus Stat tonight was irrelevant because Stat is going to cost Willow the finals. They're facing each other at All In. I'm inclined to agree with Y2J, Matt. I think that's why they had the babyface win here because the heel is more likely to screw the babyface in the next matchup.
Okay.
So I think that's what this was. And Y2J saying Matt should join the Wyatt 6.
I don't think they're doing the Hawaiian garb. So I don't think it would really work. Plus, we got Alexa Bliss on the table and Braun Strowman, and who knows what's happening with Chad Gable. So they've got enough potential members as it is. They don't need me, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
But yeah, moving on from this excellent segment, we go backstage. Seriously, lots of interviews tonight. But again, I don't necessarily mind because we were getting great storytelling and a lot of story advancement. We go backstage with Will Ospreay, who is with Renee Paquette. Will has Kyle Fletcher by his side. And before Renee could really get into it to interview Will, Don Callis walks in and Will politely asks her if he could have a moment with Don. Will tells Don he doesn't need to say anything. It's not his fault. It's Will's fault. He hit the referee and couldn't hit the Tiger Driver despite Don telling him he should. And he knows and he just says he's not that guy anymore. He tells Don all he's done for him and he thanks him and he professes his loyalty, but his heart broke on Sunday and he just wants out of the Don Callis family. Callis says he's not normally in the habit of letting people out of signed agreements, but he's so proud of Will and what he's done with his life. He's happy to do him the favor, and that maybe one day he'll ask him for a favor in return. They hug, and Kyle Fletcher has just had his jaw dropped the entire time. But they hug, and Don definitely has a look on his face. As Don leaves, he tells Kyle to follow him, and Kyle, I guess, reluctantly does. Will looks a little surprised, but then gets himself hyped up for the match he has later tonight in the main event. It's coming.
Don just doing an evil laugh as he walks away.
Oh, it's coming. The worst part is I actually really, really, really like Don Callis as a heel manager. I think he's a great heel manager. My problem is everything he's done has made him look like such a loser, and his shit drags out. It takes forever. So it's one of those things that it's like, I'm just not looking forward to Will being sucked into this for as long as he's about to be sucked into this.
Yeah. It's like,
but it's still,
he's going to have to beat all of Callis's goons, and he's already beaten half of them as it is, you know?
Exactly. He's beaten every member of the Don Callis family.
Well,
the only one he hasn't is, I guess, Trent Beretta, but that's just because Beretta wasn't part of the family.
Yeah.
So it's just, he's beaten everybody. So I don't would I be excited for another Takeshita Will Ospreay match? Sure. But we saw it already and it was great. It was a banger. So I don't know. The hype isn't there the same way.
Also, AEW, I feel like I don't think it really derails anything, but it just seems so unnecessary. And I ask why. They keep doing this with the bad guy groups where they're just like, all right, let's just face each other. And I'm like, no, why would you do that? Like, there's not a title or anything. You're just sowing dissension for no reason. Like, they've done it with like the Inner Circle. They've done it now with these guys. They always do this. They do, maybe not always, but they do it a lot in AEW.
They do it enough that it's noticeable.
And I'm just kind of like, this is weird. There's really no reason. Like, oh, competition? You have a whole roster of guys. Like, you should all be treated.
I think for certain people it makes sense. I didn't really ever think it made sense with the Don Callis stuff. My only thought process was Don knew Will Ospreay was better than everyone in his group, so he wanted to highlight Will by giving him what he thought would be winnable matches. But it was still kind of silly to me. Going to the comments real quick. Learning Y2J says Chad Gable, the murdered guy that gets medically cleared 3 days after and wins a match with Braun and Bronson. What? Because
he's the best thing since Kurt Angle. He's the best thing from Carton Milk. This guy's just like we'll have. This is AEW, so we can't really go into it. I'm hoping we'll be able to do a prediction video before Money in the Bay because Chad's my guy. He's my number one guy.
God, I really hope Producer Boy is paying attention because that'll be perfect for the intro, the new intro we're going to do. Let's see. Now, there we go. Jack Scapegoat TNT Perry saying Scape TNT Goat Perry, my bad. The look on Fletcher's face, the kid is turning heel on Ospreay, and I see him dethroning him. He deserves that. He did banger after banger with the ROH TV title. I don't know. I am inclined to think personally that Fletcher is going to join Ospreay, and it's going to be the United Empire versus the Don Callis family.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do we have a timetable on the other dudes?
To my knowledge, no. I mean, I don't even really know what his injury was, so it's hard for me to speculate. But I think he's going to be back sooner than later. I don't think it was that grave an injury.
Good. And I want good things for them. Like I thought it was bizarre that they couldn't even beat Jericho and Guevara that one time. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's because Ring of Honor, and that's what Fletcher, and I think his name is Mark Andrews. No, that's me Andrews. That's because that team was Ring of Honor, and Ring of Honor is always going to be viewed as lesser than AEW, unfortunately.
I guess. Unless you're FTR.
Yeah, right. Seriously. The Learning Y2J. Yo, Fletcher turning heel on Ospreay would be wild. The history of them together, do it at All In. The kid would get nuclear heel heat and would be amazing for him. He's the future. I don't know if this is going to last all the way to All In. That would be insane. But we'll see. Will is definitely going to have an interesting All In. JL, man, how you been, bro? Been a while. Welcome back to the comments. What's all the hype about Joe Hendry? I don't get it. First of all, I apologize for the clapping. I am legally obligated to clap every time I say Joe Hendry. Look, I know you don't follow me on TNA, JL, but the man is super over. He is a comedy act who can wrestle, has a great look, and is actually funny. He's not fake wrestling funny. The dude is actually funny. He is super charismatic, and I guarantee he's going to be a future TNA World Champion before anybody else gobbles him up, which I'm sure will happen. I hated his appearance in NXT. I don't know if he's made a follow-up appearance. I hated it because of how he was treated. I love that the crowd reacted so positively to him, but unfortunately, we are not here to talk about Joe Hendry, but it will come.
I will say real quick, I think he's very clever, and I think it was a missed opportunity not to have him in Madison Square Garden, have a dark match at SmackDown.
I completely agree.
I don't think their relationship with TNA is that good, but that would have been.
I really do want to make a video about the relationship with WWE and TNA versus the relationship with TNA and AEW, but I am not thrilled with the TNA WWE relationship quite yet. I'm willing to say, let it go. Let's see what it could grow into. But as of right now, I do not like it. JL following asking, Garcia deserved that beating. Not going to lie. He got humbled. Jesus, bro. That is heavy. The Learning Y2J asking, is it true Garcia is leaving AEW? I'll be honest with you, Y2J. This is the first I'm hearing of that possibility. I haven't heard about any contract issues. I haven't heard about any defection or jumping. I'm not saying it's outside the realm of possibility, but my opinion, with no facts, no insider knowledge here, is that Garcia has been treated beautifully by AEW. He might not be one of the 4 pillars, but he is definitely like that second wave of stars that AEW has invested a great amount of time in. So I'd be shocked to see him jump considering how well he's been treated.
Yeah, I think he's got a lot of promise and a lot of prominence. I think he's got a good spot. And I think all he has to do is keep up the good work and he will be rewarded. And I don't think it necessarily has to be like this, but I feel like if one of their mid-card champions got injured right now, heaven forbid, he could easily be their replacement champ.
I agree. One of the things, the commentary really hammered this point in today. He's only 25. He's only 25, guys. He has so much career ahead of him that it doesn't matter that he's not winning world championships or top-tier mid-card championships right now. Give him time, and he's going to win everything. I think he's
in the mix. He's in the mix.
And the crowd is finally super into him. He had a rocky go of it. I admit, with the Y2J, Blackpool Combat Club stuff, a lot of people lost interest. And quite frankly, AEW booked him very poorly for several months, where he was almost non-existent. But it's been a while since then, and I think AEW is really, really doing right by him right now. So I would be really surprised to see him jump ship. He's not a Ricky Starks. He's not a Wardlow. He is a priority, I think, for AEW. Moving on, Learning Y2J asking, when are the Motor City Machine Guns debuting? From your lips to God's ears, Y2J, we really want them to show up soon. We have an interview, maybe, potentially, whoops, it's a surprise, with Alex Shelley that we are just waiting to drop, but we shall see. But God willing, very soon, the Motor City Machine Guns will be all elite. Moving forward, JL's comment, Garcia is nothing special. Ever since leaving Jericho's faction, he's been irrelevant. JL, I gotta strongly disagree with you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say right or wrong whether or not you like him or not. That's fair. But he has been more relevant since leaving Jericho's faction. He has been all over the place. He has been getting over. Again, you might not like him, and I'm not even going to tell you you're wrong for that. But he is way more relevant now than he was 6 months ago or a year ago or a year and a half ago.
I mean, as soon as he came up with that dance, he was it felt like everything was coming together for him. And then they did a great story with him in the Continental Classic story. And so it's all been going really well for him. So I don't know what to tell you, bud.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Plus he's from New York. How could you not?
He's from northern New York.
New York. It's New York.
The Learning Y2J saying, Joe, NXT Joe Hendry, that hurt a lot, but I get it, and you're not wrong. Jack Scape TNT Goat Pair. I'm just gonna call you Scapegoat. I'm sorry, man. It's not you. It's a great name. I'm having trouble fumbling. TNA fumbled having their hottest star being a joke on developmental WWE brand. Yeah, It's true. It brought a lot of eyes. The one thing I will say, despite agreeing with you guys heavily, I've had so many wrestling fans, friends of mine say, I don't watch TNA and I never knew who this Joe Hendry guy was, but his appearance in NXT makes me want to go check him out, or I have checked him out because of his appearance in NXT. So it might feel like a fumble, but in the long run, I think this is doing more for Hendry than anything else. He is WWE's most viewed video of the year, higher than literally anything else on YouTube and social media. He is their number one video. That is gigantic. And it's because of us. It's not because of WWE NXT's booking. It's because we cheered him so hard that night in NXT. But we'll move on. JL saying TNA has been fumbling since deciding to go head-to-head with Raw. Once again, ow. But realistically, the last few years have been a great turnaround for TNA, for Impact, for TNA. Go check them out if you're not. TNA is killing it right now. Some of the best stars on the planet, delivering some of the best wrestling that you could watch. Scapegoat saying Guevara should return. I'd love it if Sammy came back. Do we know why Sammy's gone, Matt?
He was suspended for the Jeff Hardy thing.
What did he do?
He allegedly he hit Hardy with the move, and Hardy got concussed, and he was told to not do the next move, and he did. And whether that was purpose or not is who's to say. But the punishment was suspension.
Yeah, it's been a while too. It's been months.
Yeah, at least 3.
JL saying Sammy Guevara has go away heat with some crowd. No, I this one I'll give him. There is a large contingent of the crowd that just does not give a shit about Sammy Guevara. He has a passionate fan base, but he has a passionate detractor base as well. Last comment for now. Scapegoat saying Garcia is the future. Guevara is also. He gets free hate. The things that kid does inside the ring is mental. I agree. He's a very gifted athlete, a very gifted performer. They just got to figure out how to book him properly. But finally, we're going to get back to AEW. My bad, guys, but I'm having so much fun talking with everybody. We then go, after that promo, back in the ring, finally, for another match, as we have the Cage of Agony. I love that name, finally. The Cage of Agony. It's a nice play off the Gates of Agony, including Brian Cage in that, as we have Bishop Khan, Toa Leona, and Brian Cage taking on my new favorite trio, Hook, Shibata, and Samoa Joe. But before that match started, we had the Learning Tree, Chris Jericho, come out. All right, you got it.
Hi, guys.
Perfect. Chris Jericho came out, and he had some paperwork with him. He had a clipboard, which is always official, and he had security surround Matt's favorite commentator, Taz. Taz was very confused by this, and Jericho says, you know him. He wasn't booked for the show, but he has to have his TV time, and he's going to do some commentary. He said that Hook broke the cardinal sin of the wrestling business, stealing his finisher. He then berates Taz for cheering and clapping for Hook like a mark. And that's why he spoke to the Young Bucks, because if he's doing commentary, he can't have Taz sitting next to him. So Taz has been relieved of his duties and was escorted out of the building by AEW security. Those dastardly Young Bucks, they're taking it a step too far. A step too far. Taz was pissed, commentary was pissed, and Jericho joined them. As we get to the match, Joe and Toa Leona started off. They're trading elbows, locking up. Toa knocks him down with and hammers him with body blows. Joe tagged in Shibata, and Cage got in. Shibata was just hammering him in the corner with elbows before Brian was able to pop up for a shoulder block. They get into a waist lock. Shibata takes him down with a heel hook, but the machine got to the ropes. Pulling Cage into the corner, Shibata tags in Hook. Cage then rammed him into the corner, and the heels work him over, and we go to commercial break. As we're back from the break, Shibata comes in. He tries to choke out Leona, who tags Hook back in. All 6 men are in the ring. All 6 men are involved in the triple choke that is becoming a staple of these matches. Hook gets hit with a lariat. He gets overwhelmed in the corner, and then they hit a double power bomb before Joe breaks it up. The match breaks down into the triple submission that I was just telling you about. Sorry, my notes were a little weird on that one. And then the match ends due to submission as Hook gets the win for his team. Sorry, there was a lot of action. It happened very fast. I got very scared, guys. I'm sorry. As they're celebrating, Jericho, Big Bill, and the Bad Apple, Brian Keith, get in the ring and attack all 3 with chairs. It is a brutal beatdown as Joe is pushed over the steps and is just repeatedly beat with a chair. Brian Keith reveals his arm is okay, takes his arm out of the sling. Jericho hits Hook with brass knucks, and then they set up a table where Big Bill choke slams Hook through it. That takes us to a commercial break. Matt, did you get to watch the match, or was this right before you tagged in?
I watched some of it. It was fine.
Yeah, the match itself was fine. I still am very much loving this trio of Joe, Hook, and Shibata. They are giving me everything I want out of them. I hope they were able to get out of the Jericho vortex sooner than later, but love this killer team. I'm not shocked that the heels got the upper hand on them, considering how much the baby faces have been dominating lately. And of course, this feud is going to continue because it's a Jericho feud. They never end quickly. But yeah, love Joe, love Hook, love Shibata, and I still like Brian Keith, but it's not like they're giving him a lot to thrive. And Big Bill is kind of working for me. I'm kind of liking Big Bill here.
Well, I love Bandit Keith. Yeah.
Got to get it in. We have our bits here at the Market Down podcast, guys, and we will be damned if we don't get them in. Scapegoat in the comments saying AEW should hide COA. Oh, Cage of Agony. Everything is fit for the bloodline now. See, I like the Cage of Agony. I do. I just don't like that they constantly lose. They are constantly presented as this monstrous team, but they're always losing. It's hard to take
former Ring of Honor 6-man tag team champion, trios, six-man tag team
Ring
champion.
of Honor is 6-man tag. AEW is trios.
Trios, yeah. So, like, they have a little respect on their name, but yeah, it's kind of like, the matches they're going to lose for the most part.
It's a bummer.
What else was I going to say? Something. Oh, yeah, my best bit was I've now noticed that Brian Keith seems to have raided Julia Hart's locker stolen her hat. So just another reason why this heel turn is working for him.
I mean, he is a bandit after all.
Yeah.
He's making away. He's making away with stuff.
Bounty Hunter, no way. Bandit, yes.
There you go. Scapegoat saying, Daddy Ass said on his last interview that his dream retirement match is Will Ospreay. I mean, I'm sure it'll be one of Daddy Ass's best matches in a very, very long time. Not that he's been having bad matches or anything, but Will is obviously a step above in a lot of ways. So if that's what Daddy Ass wants, I'm all for him getting it. But moving on, we are now going to our last Owen Hart Cup match of the night as Jeff Jarrett takes on the wild card, a returning Hangman Adam Page, who, if I'm not mistaken, this is brand new music for him, Matt?
Yes. Yeah.
I miss his old music. I do.
Me too.
I think this is fitting with where this character is going, but I loved his old music.
Yeah, his old music was great, but they needed something to give him more of an edge.
Yeah, this definitely had edge to it. Hangman coming in, making his entrance, very angry. This was a very angry, edgy Hangman Adam Page. I don't like it. I mean, it's not bad. I please don't take it as me saying it's bad, but I want my anxious millennial cowboy back. I miss feeling like he's our guy, and he hasn't felt like our guy in a while. But just dealing with social media. But yeah, I'm so sorry about that, guys. Just social media. But as we get into the match, we get a collar and elbow, and Page shoves him down, hammering each other with punches before Hangman hits a big boot and then just rabbit punches a downed and on his stomach Jeff Jarrett. He hits some kicks to the ribs, and Hangman is just angry. This is like, I know I was saying it with the entrance, but this man just has an angry chip on his shoulder. Double J is able to get some knees in on the ropes, and Page drops him with a hard lariat. He then hits a fallaway slam. Both men go to the floor, and then Hangman hits a brutal apron powerbomb onto Jeff Jarrett's lower back. This didn't look like it landed clean. This looked rough, but Jeff Jarrett, being the professional he is, tough through it, man. Hangman then just continues smashing Jeff's head into the steel steps over and over as we go to the commercial break. As we're back from the break, both men are trading forearms onto the apron. Hangman goes for a deadeye onto the apron, but Jarrett is able to counter it and go for a stroke, which just looked massive as he landed on the floor and Hangman landed rough on the apron. He can't capitalize, though. We get back inside, and Jeff is hitting him with rights and lefts, and then a side Russian leg sweep before Hangman hits him with an up kick. Jarrett then goes for an enziguri, but only gets a 2. Hangman then shoves him off, and Jarrett rolls through a deadeye, locking in a sharpshooter, honoring his fallen friend, Owen Hart, but Adam is able to punch his way out of it. He gets up, and he hits a deadeye, but instead of going for the pin, he goes to the apron for a buckshot, but Jarrett collapses to the mat. Jarrett then shoves him through the ropes, gets back on his feet, counters another buckshot, and then applies the sharpshooter once again. Hangman gets to the ropes. Hangman then slings him into the ropes to stagger him, and then hits him with a slingshot, then finally getting him with a buckshot into more mounted punches. Our referee, Aubrey Edwards, pulls him off, and then Hangman hits another deadeye, getting the 1, 2, 3. At multiple points in this matchup, Hangman had him beat, had him pinned, but he just chose to continue the beatdown, brutalizing Double J.
He chose violence.
He did choose violence. Matt, what did you think of the matchup before I get to the comments?
Lots of fireworks here. Sorry.
No, you're good. I honestly can't hear it. So
okay, cool. Yeah, it was a good match. You figured like most people, you talk rumors and whatnot. Most people believed Hangman was going to be the last guy, and it's like, okay, there's no way Jarrett's going to win this. And then this week comes out, it's like, yeah, there's no way Jarrett's going to win this. But at the same time, Jarrett got to be in the tournament. Like, that's cool. Like, good for him. He's honoring his friend by wrestling for him. So it's a nice little feather in his cap.
I thought it was perfect. I thought it was perfect placement because we have a sympathetic babyface getting brutalized by someone who's very clearly still in his heel phase.
Yeah.
Going back to the comments, Jack Perry saying, someone here in the chat has been saying the wild card was Hangman for a couple of weeks. The story is there. Swerve, he's coming for you. I'll be honest. I don't think Hangman's winning this. I don't think he's winning the tournament.
Really? Wow.
I don't think he's winning the tournament. We'll get into it.
Strickland, he's coming for you.
We're not going to finish that one.
Yeah, producer boy, and I'll be like you, and then it goes like,
yeah,
or like
Scapegoat. I'm sorry to tell you this. I don't think Hangman's winning this. I think Bryan Danielson's going to win, and I think given we're going to get into the promo in a little bit, and that should help explain why. So I'll hold off a little bit, but I don't think Hangman's the winner of this tournament. I don't even know if he's making it past the next round.
Who's in the next round?
It's going to be Hangman Adam Page versus Jay White, the winner going on to face Bryan Danielson.
Oh, okay.
So we'll get to that soon. Y2J in the comments saying Swerve using the EVPs to get Swerve is just a nice touch. I see him turning on the Elite after getting Swerve. I think you meant Hangman. And yes, Hangman using the EVPs to get to Swerve is a nice touch. And seeing him turn on the Elite after getting Swerve, I don't even know if we're going to get that far. I genuinely don't think we're going to get that far, but we'll talk. And then we have Huge Janus, saying Matt ripping the bong in the meantime. You're getting picked on today, pal. I don't know what is going on with you. Let's see.
It's all good fun.
We have the Learning Y2J saying Hangman wins the tournament. EVPs and Okada help him, building Okada versus Danielson at All In for the Continental title. I don't think so. I don't think we're going to get another Danielson-Okada one-on-one match.
They're really just going to do 2? That's it?
I think that's what makes me happy. Both men have a win. And granted, Bryan is on the way out, so I could see him wanting to put over Okada, but I don't see it. I think Bryan wants to focus on wrestling people he hasn't wrestled, especially because he did wrestle Okada already this year. He wrestled him at Forbidden Door. No, not Forbidden Door. I'm so sorry. He wrestled him at Forbidden Door last year, but he wrestled him at Wrestle Kingdom this year. So I just don't see it. Y2J, it's not that I can't accept Hangman winning. I really don't see it happening because I think Hangman is going to go on a different journey. That's it. I don't think, as much as his focus is on Swerve, I don't think that's where it's gonna end up for him. But we'll talk. I promise you, it's coming. The segment is coming. So just like George R. R. Martin promised, the Dragons are coming. This segment is coming, and we will talk about it. We then go backstage very quickly, very randomly, in my opinion, as Hook is getting beat down by Learning Tree group, Jericho's group, and of course he gets fireballed to the face because he's a wizard. And just still one of the funniest and most random things Jericho has done in AEW. We then go backstage to a Hangman Adam Page promo. He's being interviewed by Renee Paquette, but the Young Bucks roll up and make her go away, shooing her away, and then congratulating Hangman on crushing it. They suggest that he should keep scratching their back, and they need a fifth man for Blood and Guts. Hangman then gets right up in Matt Jackson's face and tells him he's not their puppet, he's not a child, and he doesn't need the elite. He doesn't need their games. He's in the Owen, and he's going to win the Owen. He then storms off, leaving the Bucks very confused and kind of upset. Guys, this is what I'm talking about. He is not with the elite right now. You got to remember, the elite suspended him. They suspended him a while back. Hangman doesn't really have any allegiance towards them. Hangman's focus is purely on Swerve. And when the Young Bucks, when the new elite don't get what they want, they get bitter. I think they're going to cost Hangman this tournament, whether it's against Jay White or whether it's against Bryan Danielson. I'm more inclined to think they're going to cost him against Jay White because I think Bryan wants to wrestle Jay White, someone he hasn't wrestled one-on-one yet. And I think Bryan wants to get through all these guys that he hasn't wrestled yet on his way to his retirement. So I think we're going to see Hangman be part of Team AEW at Blood and Guts. Time will tell, but I don't know. Mark it down. Mark it down what I'm saying. Learning Y2J saying he's using them to get to Swerve. He turns on them after getting Swerve. I guess, but see, that's the thing. That's a very babyface move to turn on the elite. And if he's going after Swerve, he's a heel right now. I don't see taking down Swerve as a heel, allowing him to transition smoothly into a babyface turn. I think the elite is going to turn on him. And in some shape or form, we're going to get Kenny and Hangman, maybe with Coda if he's healthy enough, when they're all ready to get us to that matchup. I don't see Hangman being with the elite. But I'm willing to be proven wrong. There's still a lot of time between now and Blood and Guts. There's a lot of time between now and All In. There's a lot of time between getting Kenny Omega back. And I really miss you, Kenny. I really do. What did you think of this interaction?
Yeah, it's interesting. Gives it a little, more nuance.
Where do you think Hangman's going to end up? Do you think he's going to join them for Blood and Guts? Do you think he's Team Elite? Or do you think he's going to turn on them? Or do you think they're going to turn on him?
I don't know. It's tough when I've kind of been out of the loop. I haven't been watching every week. We were there for Forbidden Door, and I was like, all right, I think I kind of get the basis of what's going on.
Yeah.
But, yeah, a little out of the loop, unfortunately, so I can't really make a determination. Because I don't even know, when these things are. Blood and Guts, I know, is
Blood and Guts is the end of this month. It's July 24th. All In is August, near the end of the month. And then All Out is, I believe, 2 weeks after.
So weird. But yeah, so I don't have a good prediction, unfortunately. Sorry.
No, you're good. Learning Y2J saying, so you're saying Hangman is Team AEW tagging with Swerve. Is Swerve Team AEW yet confirmed? I don't know. I don't know that. What?
Is anybody confirmed?
We have one person confirmed for Team AEW, and it's Mark Briscoe, who announced himself in tonight.
Really? So, I guess he's Ring of Honor World Champion, so it's not a bad pick. It's just not who I would have thought.
I agree. It's a weird choice. I like it because he's Ring of Honor World Champion. It's putting rub on that title. But the problem is Mark has been so inconsistently booked that it doesn't necessarily feel like the strongest move yet. So I don't know.
I met Papa Briscoe this weekend at Forbidden Door. Very nice guy. If we had the producer boy with us, we'd have that picture like, here, wait. I can do it. So those of you, I part of a thing called FOD, Faces of Death, and we draw people who've passed away in a simple black and white drawing. So I did Jay Briscoe for last year, and then this is me meeting Papa Briscoe at Forbidden Door. Very nice guy. Wish I had made prints of the drawing, but maybe we'll be able to give a picture of him in the future, and one for Mark too. So he's in this. He announced himself in this matchup. Who do you think would pick? Who would team up with Mark? Who would Mark go to?
Well, I don't know. It's about who Mark would go to because it seems like the way they were talking about it on commentary, Tony Khan is picking this team.
Ah, okay.
And like there was like a hype for it earlier in the night saying we will find out the first member of Team AEW. So I think Tony's picking the team. He's going to be slowly revealing the team. And then AEW will just naturally form against the Elite. The Learning Y2J saying, Swerve said in a promo weeks ago saying the next time AEW he was in. You're right, that did happen. But so far, he's not officially announced for that matchup. As of right now, if you look on the promo, if you look on the image, it's Mark Briscoe and 4 blank names, blank spaces against the Elite with 1 blank space. So as of right now, he's not officially in that matchup. Learning Y2J saying he thinks it's going to be Briscoe, Swerve, Moxley, Ospreay, and MJF. After tonight, I don't think it's going to be MJF.
Yeah, we're going to get to that. Yeah. Should we get to that now?
Well, we're going to get into the matchup now. All right, so getting into our main event, we have Daniel Garcia taking on Will Ospreay for the AEW International Championship. Guys, I love the matchup. Just going to say it. I really enjoyed the matchup. We started off with a circling collar and elbow. Ospreay backed Garcia into the ropes, down and out into the corner. And, of course, I got to remind everybody, MJF was in the corner of Daniel Garcia, having come out with him. MJF gave Garcia a quick pep talk, getting back in the ring. An Irish whip was reversed, a duck lariat, backflip into a side headlock off the ropes, a drop down leapfrog, and Garcia with a front kick and a hip toss. We then went to a side headlock takeover exchange, leading to a head scissors from Daniel Garcia, and then a short pile driver to Will's head. I really like that. Yeah, did you like that spot where Will was sort of doing a handstand, like as he was in the leg lock? Usually we see the counter, but we saw the counter of that as Garcia just dropped his head into the mat. I thought that was a great spot.
Very cool.
Garcia then hits some front kicks, punching him into the corner. He locks him into a cravat and then a snapmare into a drop kick to the back. And then we only got a 1 count off that. Garcia then mounts Ospreay with some punches, but Will's able to slip out. And then he sends Garcia crashing to the floor. Ospreay then hits a plancha, and Ospreay and Friedman have a face-off. MJF having his tense face-off with Will Ospreay. Max then backed off. Will Ospreay then picked Garcia up and then threw him in the ring. We go to commercial. As we're back from commercial, both men are slugging it out, and Garcia backed him into Will into a corner. Will then explodes with a big boot, then hit a neck breaker, and then Will floats over, and Garcia spiked him with a DDT. After another snapping rollover neck break, it wasn't enough, and Ospreay offers a free shot. He bends over, allowing Garcia to hit him with Kawada kicks, but instead Garcia just dances and continuously hits Will in the face with his
thrusts.
With his what?
Thrusts.
Yeah, he was thrusted. He was thrusting family jewels right into Will's face with his little dance. We then get a Saito suplex and then get a air raid crash, countering a Stormbreaker with a big back pile driver of his own. Still no, only a 2 count. We then get a back body drop and then a victory roll pin before Will hits an Insiguri off the ropes. We then get a power bomb from Will into a Styles Clash after only getting a 2 count, and then Garcia kicks out again. Ospreay goes for the hidden blade, but Garcia countered with a body scissors sleeper. Really picked up around here. Will then gets back on his feet, and Garcia floats over for a guillotine choke. Will then reverse that into a gourd buster, hits an underhook, blocks. Another DDT gets blocked, a duck lariat, an Ozcutter got blocked, and Garcia snaps off a sit-down pile driver only for 2. These kids were cooking. MJF then, this is where we got to the climax of the match, as MJF tried slipping Garcia the TNT Diamond Ring. Garcia picks it up. He considers it. And then Ospreay goes for a pin. They're trading pins before a big clothesline from Garcia. He's still contemplating using the Diamond Ring, but ultimately hands it back to MJF, who shrugs and kind of accepts this. As he hands it off, Will capitalizes and hits a huge running hidden blade and gets the 1, 2, 3. Will Ospreay might not have won the AEW World Championship at Forbidden Door, but he did successfully retain the International Championship. Going to go back to the comments real quick. Y2J saying Ospreay out wrestled Garcia like hell. I won't go that far. Do I think Ospreay is just objectively a better wrestler than Garcia at this point? Yes, but I do think Garcia did a good job of holding on to his own. So let's see where they are in like 2 years' time. Moving forward, Scapegoat says Garcia looked bad tonight. I disagree. Matt, what did you think? Did you think Garcia looked bad in this matchup?
No.
I don't think he looked bad. I just think that Ospreay is one of the best wrestlers in the world. So it's hard to look great next to that guy. And then Scapegoat saying MJF killed Garcia on live TV. Well, we're gonna get to that. As Garcia is in the corner crying, Will does his best to console him for what felt like a couple of minutes, but probably was just maybe a minute. After Will leaves the ring, MJF gets into the corner, tells him it wasn't his fault. It was MJF's fault. It's on him that he lost. People still love him, and he helps him gets up into the middle of the ring. He raises his hand and then kicked him in the same nuts that were rubbed over Ospreay's face. He pulls the ring out, slides it on his finger, and then decks a running Matt Maynard as he tries to get up on the apron. He then spits on Garcia, yelling for him to get up, and then drops Garcia with the loaded punch with the diamond ring. He then takes out a lot of security who keeps trying to get in. Garcia is bloodied. MJF just keeps spitting on him, hawking loogies on him. It was gross. Garcia still trying. What do you say?
Hawk to it and spit on that thing.
You really did, and I don't like it. Garcia, despite being dazed, is still trying to get up. Matt Maynard also is bloody to hell. MJF gets Garcia up on the second rope, and then he goes to the top rope. He has him up for an avalanche tombstone pile driver. Christopher Daniels and AEW officials are trying to stop him, but MJF hits it anyway. Everyone is mortified. This finally brings out a hobbled Will Ospreay. He tries to get in MJF's face, but MJF ducks out, runs into the crowd, gets aggressive to the crowd. I don't know if you saw that one guy that was really, dude, one guy forehead to forehead with MJF. Like MJF had knocked down his buddy's like beer or a drink or something. He then he picks up a garbage can and then throws garbage into the crowd. MJF was rabid. It's what we've been missing.
It's like, why do you do that against Daniel Garcia though? Like, it's like, I'm sorry. It's like,
I have a feeling, I have a reason for that. I think I have a theory as to why this was it. Christopher Daniels pled with Ospreay to keep his cool, who wanted to fight MJF then and there. And that is the end of Dynamite, everybody. As for why Garcia, Matt, I think the reason is that Garcia dared to interrupt MJF TV time. Garcia dared to say that he was ready to move forward and get bigger because of MJF. And I don't think MJF ever wants to associate with anybody ever again after the Adam Cole situation. Moving on to the comments, we have Scapegoat saying, finally, we get heel MJF. We were getting tired of that goofy MJF Cody Rhodes version. Damn. Learning Y2J saying, heel MJF opening Collision. Oh boy. And then Y2J saying it's rumored Garcia was getting written off TV. Look, it's possible. It's possible. I haven't heard anything, but I will do my research after we're done with the pod tonight. But if this was their way of writing Garcia off, they certainly did it with style. They did it with gusto. And I think this is more about setting up Ospreay and MJF than it is anything to do with Garcia, truthfully. But guys, that was AEW. That was Dynamite tonight. I thought we had an excellent show from top of the card to bottom. I think we had some truly excellent matchups like Bryan Danielson versus Pac. I think I might be in the minority. I guess our comments disagree, but I liked Garcia versus Ospreay. I thought Willow Nightingale versus Chris Statlander was fantastic. And I think, not necessarily being an excellent matchup, I think Hangman versus Jeff Jarrett told an excellent story, really highlighting how far Hangman has fallen. So just excellent AEW tonight. Learning Y2J saying another great show and saying AEW not in the mud at all. I agree. Matt, you said you haven't really been keeping up too much with AEW, but is the feeling starting to get a little restored for you or not quite yet?
Not quite yet. I think it's just, it's when we were at the show, it was kind of like, you realize AEW, it's very good with the wrestling and the product itself is good, but it needs to get something, one, for people who might be a little bit jaded to get excited about again. And two, they need some mainstream appeal. I think Ospreay in big matches is definitely something to get excited about. Like, so just keep things going with him. I think that's a good, and like him versus MJF could be a great program. So we'll see what happens. But I liked what I watched tonight. You know, you made it sound great, so I wish I had seen that first hour as well. Just didn't work out that way. But yeah, I'm glad I watched the second hour at the very least.
Yeah, me too. What beyond, like you mentioned, Ospreay wrestling in big matches, for you, what could get you hyped? Like for me, I'm in a place right now. We have Hangman back, we have Britt Baker back, we have MJF back as a heel. We have Ospreay killing it. I think Swerve has been a great champion so far, and I'm enjoying a lot of the wrestling. So for me, I'm satisfied. But what would get you there?
I don't think this is the answer, and this might not even work out. But if they could get Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch in and have that one-on-one match we never got at WrestleMania, again, they could try that. and it could end up being horrible. Like it could suck terribly. Like that's you never know how things are gonna go. But on paper, at the very least, I'd be like, holy shit, we're finally getting this match.
So you need a noteworthy, newsworthy, oh my god matchup.
Yeah.
All right, hey, that's fair. That's fair. Y2J not agreeing with you. Rousey and Becky, what the fuck? Please help.
I mean, it might be too late. It might be too late for that. Like,
I also don't think. Well, I can see Ronda showing up in AEW. I don't think Becky's ever leaving WWE. I'd be shocked. Y2J saying AEW been better than WWE this year, but WWE has a 40-ish old history and fan base. It's obvious they're the mainstream. Scapegoat also not with you.
I'll put it in perspective. I know I've said it to the pod mates. I don't think I've actually said it on the pod, but back in January, I met Adam Copeland. You guys have seen the picture, and he was on a morning show. It was live with Kelly and Mark to promote his Percy Jackson show on Disney Plus. And they talked to him about that. That was the main reason he was there. But they did mention wrestling. At no point in time did Mark and Kelly ever mention AEW. They mentioned that, he wanted, in his yearbook, he was voted most likely to become WWE champion, WWF champion, but you get the point. And they said he's a WWE Hall of Famer. And they asked him about WWE. He had to be like, oh, I'm wrestling for AEW at the moment. Like, he never corrected them, but he did slip that in there. But the fact is that the mainstream, like, they've got nothing on AEW. And there was a moment they did for, like, when they were first starting. Yeah. They need to get back to that. Whatever that was, that's what they need to get back to. And that's not going to solve all their problems, but it's certainly going to help.
Learning Y2J saying that's problem is that damn. Look,
a lot of problems.
He's got grievances with all of us, and he's ready.
I got a lot of problems with you people, and now you're gonna hear about it.
Learning. I'm gonna save you here on this one, Matt. Y2J saying with that mentality, Matt won't ever be an AEW fan. So no, there is one thing I will say, because
paid $70 to be a Forbidden Door. You're telling me an AEW fan? Like,
here's the thing. I think it is fair to say, I think it's objectively fair to say, AEW has right now, unfortunately, a perception problem. It was mainly created by Brawl Out 2 years ago. I think there's no denying that the fallout of the CM Punk stuff has really hurt the perception of AEW. And right now, WWE is hotter than it's ever been. No, I take that back. WWE is hotter than it's been in a very, very long time. We're in a little bit of a downswing on the WWE side post-WrestleMania, but the lead up to WrestleMania being so good for WWE really hurt the appeal for AEW, unfortunately. There shouldn't be a correlation. They should both be able to be successful on their own, but unfortunately, there was a large contingent of the fan base that was like, I'm only going to watch WWE right now because of how hot WWE is. I don't have time for more wrestling. I think now that WWE's cooled off a little bit, and I personally think AEW is firing on all cylinders, we might see a little bit more of a swing back in the opposite side of the pendulum for AEW. I don't think Matt's wrong in saying that AEW could use a shot in the arm with some mainstream appeal. There was a magic to where AEW was early on in its existence. We had stuff like a Mike Tyson appearance. We had stuff like crossovers with Snoop Dogg and other celebrities. And while that's not necessarily why I'm watching wrestling, I can't say, I'd be lying if I said that stuff doesn't help get a broader appeal to the show. So I personally think that when AEW does get its new TV deal, presumably through Turner, presumably through Warner Brothers Discovery, and they get a new TV deal on TBS and TNT, and God willing, get streaming, we're going to see a huge marketing push for AEW. And I think we're going to see some new attention to AEW. I just think while they're doing the contract negotiations, Turner, Warner Brothers Discovery, wants to see if AEW is going to sink or swim on its own. So time will tell.
Well said, Jake. And I also,
thanks.
I don't want to say, well, here, go. I'll read this comment off. AEW is a 5-year company. Why compare it to WWE at all? Because they're successful, and that hurts the WWE diehard fan base. That's the truth. WWE's hotter because AEW pushes them to be. I think the other thing is, like, I don't want to see celebrities in matches, but it's just cool to see them in the crowd. Like, I was at SmackDown, and Lin-Manuel Miranda was out in the crowd. And I'm like, oh, shit, New York's own. Like, great to see him. It's fun. It's great when you see, like, people that you like that also like wrestling. That's cool. I think, yeah, definitely AEW forced WWE to be better. I mean, NXT unfortunately suffered, and it'll never be the way it was, unfortunately. But the main roster has gotten considerably better and is no longer stale the way it was before AEW came into play.
I completely agree. I think competition, unfortunately, raises the game for everybody involved. I don't know how long you've been following us here on the pod, Y2J, Scapegoat. I have long said I'm not a WWE fan. I'm not an AEW fan. I'm not a TNA fan. I'm not a Ring of Honor fan. I'm not a New Japan fan. I am a wrestling fan. I love wrestling. And I love watching all of those companies because each one gives me something. WWE brings me some level of enjoyment. AEW brings me a lot of enjoyment. TNA, that's my show. I hope you guys tune in with me tomorrow night. We're going to be doing a 4th of July TNA coverage in the Gym Pack Zone. But TNA brings me enjoyment. New Japan brings me enjoyment. Ring of Honor brings me enjoyment. I want to see all of these companies thrive. I want on a random, you know what? I want to watch TNA tonight. I want to be able to do that and enjoy it. I want to be able to do that with all of these companies. I don't believe in tribalism at all. It exists, unfortunately, just like anything else. Whether it's sports like baseball or basketball or football, everybody has their favorite team. With wrestling, for the longest time, it was just WWE. For a good 20 years, and I say that as a TNA and Ring of Honor fan, but for 20 years, really, WWE was unchallenged. So there are a lot of people who grew up and only know WWE and feel like they're betraying that company if they watch anything else. Personally, I think that's silly. I do think there is a large contingent of the WWE fan base that is rooting for AEW to fail. I think that is bonkers. I think that's absolutely bonkers, and I think it's counterintuitive to the growth of not just wrestling, but WWE itself.
I think they want to see another Invasion storyline because the last Invasion storyline just sucks so bad. But like the concept is still there. And I mean, who wouldn't want to see MJF, Darby Allin, Hangman Page, Will Ospreay, Britt Baker, all these amazing names like in WWE. But again, like I don't like anybody would love to see that, but I certainly wouldn't want to see AEW have to die for that to happen.
And I'll be honest, there are people who I don't want to see crossover. There are names that I think on both sides would benefit from jumping over. I think there are WWE names that would benefit from going to AEW. Like we just saw Ricochet leave WWE. I think when he does arrive in AEW, he's going to absolutely thrive. There are AEW names that I think when they go to WWE, or most likely will be going to WWE, we'll probably see some uptick. I love Wardlow. I think AEW has not known how to book Wardlow since he left MJF. I think he will thrive in WWE.
I mean, Ethan Page is doing well in WWE.
Ethan Page is doing well in WWE. There are dozens and dozens of registered Lex offenders. So there are people.
On the other hand, Christian Cage is doing phenomenally in AEW, and Sting had a great run. So
exactly, there has been. At the end of the day, we want all these wrestling companies to do well, not just because it gives us variety, but it gives these wrestlers places to work. Christian Cage, who was not going to be given anything near what he got in AEW and WWE, thank God he's here. So that's my take on it. Just going to finish up these comments real quick. Scapegoat saying, Y2J speaking facts. AEW is only 5 to 6 years old and gets this much talk. Yet WWE diehard fan base try to take them down badly. Like, breathe, buddy. There's more wrestling outside of WWE. Again, a lot of this is just competition for the sake of competition. But yes, there is absolutely a toxic contingent of the fan base. Learning Y2J saying WWE's been stuck on the bloodline angle for ages. I do agree. Quote, AEW sucks, yet we want all their talent. Ain't that the fucking truth? Learning Y2J saying if your appealing is WWE, focus on WWE and don't trash talk AEW. I agree. That is the perfect world. We should all be able to like what we like without somebody telling us that it sucks. It's just silly. Y2J saying, I don't want WWE versus AEW invasion because anything that WWE touches, they burn and end them to the ground. Keep WWE away from AEW. Look, I agree with what you're saying if WWE was in charge of it, but I'm not going to sit here and say that I wouldn't love to see Kenny Omega versus Seth Rollins. I'm not going to sit here and say I don't want to see babyface Cody Rhodes of WWE versus ultimate heel MJF in AEW. You know, there are dream matchups I want, but not at the expense of one company looking worse than the other. Learning Y2J listing WCW, ECW, TNA as examples. Learning Y2J saying Andrade is doing amazing. Dude, one, hilarious. I wish Danny was here. I don't know how familiar you are with Danny of our podcast, but Danny would have called that from the scope. Andrade made a grave mistake going back to WWE, but hey, that's his mistake to make. At least he's with his wife. But guys, thank you so much for joining us here at the Market Down podcast. If you're new, guys, it was a pleasure talking with you, Y2J. It was a pleasure talking with you, Scapegoat. If you aren't subscribed to us, please feel free to. We would love to have you back next Wednesday or tomorrow, where I'll be doing the Gym Pack Zone covering TNA's Impact. We cover wrestling most nights of the week. Matt will do Monday Night Raw or Friday Night SmackDown when he has the opportunity. We do AEW Dynamite all the time. I do TNA Impact. We cover all the WWE pay-per-views. We cover all the AEW pay-per-views. We do have some trouble with Saturdays. It's hard to cover Collision just because there's just so much wrestling on the air. It's not personal against Collision, but we love doing everything with you guys. So if you can, like this video so we know we did something right, or subscribe. That way you can stick with us. We saw massive growth this week. We saw a huge jump in our subscriber list. Thank you guys. If you're new, we promise we're going to have some fun. If you're one of our old loyal fans, stick with the ride. It's only getting bigger and better. You guys know it. And if you can't follow us on here, or if you are following us on here, but you want more of us, check us out on social media. We're on Facebook. We're on X. We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram. We're on MySpace. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Foursquare. We're on Vine. We're everywhere. So come check us out. Of course, check out Matt. He's at Matthew Cascone and at Matt's Minifigs on Instagram. He's doing great, fun stuff over there. He's definitely opening us up to a very different medium. So go check him out. And guys, we love you. We care about you. Everybody have a happy 4th of July. Or if you're watching us from out of the country, have a happy day. But I'm James Gisanti. That's Matt Cascone. I'm exhausted. I'm really sweaty. Have a good night. Anything you want to say, Matt?
No, guys, have a good one. And yeah, Matt's Minifigs, there's some Lego WWE related stuff on there. It's all Lego, sometimes WWE. So check it out. I just, posted something WWE related today. So thanks for joining us. We love you. Bye.
As always, watch wrestling. Have a good night.